Okay, you guys, so this next tip and technique is really helpful. One of the things that I find difficult about drawing in graphite is that oftentimes we're looking at color images. I mean, all the time we're looking at color images, but if we want to take a photograph of something, usually that's a color image too. So translating the values from color to black and white can sometimes be a little bit challenging. So one of the techniques that I often use is I take my little camera phone and I take a photograph of something in color, but then I turn it black and white. But I know some of you guys might not have camera phones to be able to use all the time for that. So this is a less expensive way to do the same thing. We're actually going to take red plexiglass, which when I hold it in front of my black shirt doesn't look that red. But when I hold it up here, you can see if I take red plexiglass and hold it in front of a color image, it will actually show me the values of those colors in a different way. So it helps to translate how dark or how light one of the values is so that I can then reproduce it in graphite a little bit more accurately. So let's take a look down here at some examples. Okay, so the few things that I have set up for you guys here. First, I've got a value scale just so that you can see that wide range of full values from our lightest light to our darkest dark. And then let's start off looking at two photographs of the same object. One I printed in color, so this is a red sneaker with a beige bottom. And then I printed it in black and white also so that, you know, that's another inexpensive way to accomplish this is just have your printer print it out in black and white without any color. I'm assuming that the printer does make some accommodations for that because what we're about to see now when I slide in the red plexiglass, you'll see that the values do look like, I mean, you can clearly see your brighter brights, your darker darks, etc. with the red plexi over, but the values in general do look a little bit lighter than the black and white photocopy. So I'm not sure if the photocopier is actually making some adjustments or if just us seeing us through this red plexi is what's making those adjustments. But either way, what you're going to be able to identify are where are the darkest darks and where are the lightest lights. Whereas in color, it might get a little bit confusing about where to put those things when you're translating that color image into a drawing. Let's look at another example because a lot of times we'll have a little bit of a incorrect assumption about things. So this is a fabric sample. IKEA has this fabric that has this wooden print on it. So you can see all these different logs and the ends of the logs, some of them look to me like they're really dark. They're brown. I think of a log as a dark brown, but then check it out when I slide my value scale in here. And now keep in mind that if I put it really close to the page, it's too dark. If I lift it up, I'm going to see more of a true value. So you want to have a little bit of space between your object or your image and the plexiglass, like a good half a foot to a foot of space is helpful. So if I hold it up here, you can actually see that those log pieces are really quite light. They're a really pretty light value. Like when I compare it to my value scale, let's see if I can fit them both here. It's hard for me to tell from this view, but I would say the center of the logs here are on the lighter end of my value scale, not on the darker end, which is what I might assume when I'm thinking about them as brown logs. So let's take a look at one last image. This one is a drawing and a photograph. So the photograph, let's see, I got this from babyanimalzoo.com. One of my students, Chloe, wanted to draw seals because she was lucky enough to get to go to the Galapagos Islands, which I'm very envious of. I hope to go there myself to draw someday. So we took this picture from Baby Animals, what was it? babyanimalzoo.com, and printed it in black and white. And then we started drawing it, and we haven't finished it, so you can see it's incomplete here. This back half still needs to be finished. But what I can do is I can go and check my values here because there's so many intersections of the mama's body, the mama's flipper, the baby, the mama's body on the other side, and it gets a little bit confusing. So it's a little bit hard for me to tell where are those values that I've drawn in already. Do I need to make them darker or do I need to make them lighter? So I can go and kind of compare how does it look here compared to the photograph, and you can see that the baby looks really, really dark. And then when I go to my image, the baby is not quite dark enough. So that's going to really help me to distinguish the mother's body from the baby's body, and that's going to aid me as I make more layers. So if you have trouble seeing it on your own, you just grab this plexiglass, put it right in front of your image. Or if you have somewhere in here, I had a color photo of that one. I don't know where it went, but if you have a color photo and you want to figure out how to translate it to black and white, this is another way to do it. Your red plexiglass can be a really helpful tool. Remember, other ways to do the same thing would be to print your photo in black and white, or snap a photo with your camera or your phone and turn it to black and white, and that's also going to help you to see those values so that you can get that in graphite on your page, more accurate with more detail and more distinction between areas. So hopefully this tip helps you out, and I just want to say thanks to my student Tricia. She actually brought this in and I was like, oh, that's amazing. I want to be able to use that. So you guys are teaching me things all the time. I'm teaching stuff, passing it on, so hopefully we'll all become better drawers because of that. So thanks. Let me know if you guys have any comments.